The following is a class given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj on September 6, 1984. The class begins with a reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Chapter 13, Verse 40.
The learned Brahmana's description indicates different types of birth. So one lies down according to one's body. Sometimes one takes birth as an animal and sometimes as a king. When he takes birth as an animal, he must lie down on the ground. And when he takes birth as a king or a very rich man, he is allowed to lie in first-class rooms in huge palaces, decorated with beds and other furniture. Such facilities are not available, however, at the sweet will of the living entities. Rather, they are available by the supreme will, parichaya, or by the arrangement of Maya. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 1861, Iswaraha paramaha Iswara sarvabhutanam Videsheju natishtati Brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrayudhani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. The living entity, according to his material desires, receives different types of bodies, which are nothing but machines, offered by material nature, according to the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the will of the Supreme, one must take different bodies with different means for laying down. Thus in the Bhaktivedanta purport of text 40, chapter 13, canto 7 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the matter of the behavior of a perfect person. Here the learned Brahmana who was situated as a Python, who was discussing with Prahlad Maharaj, is describing how by the influence of the material nature and the will of the Supreme, one is forced to take different kinds of birth. In each birth there is a different facility. You could compare it by eating or by sleeping. Here is compared it by how one lays down. So, someone may think that one type of laying down is better than another. So then accordingly one will get a specific type of birth. One time a devotee was commenting how beautiful the sunrise was. And Srila Prabhupada warned that if you think that the sunrise is so beautiful and you want to see it, then you have to take another birth, because the sun never sets in the spiritual world. You can only see sunrise and sunset in the material world. Now if we see something beautiful, the Bhagavad Gita has given us the vision that we can say that the beauty or the beautiful aspect of it is actually a portion of Krishna's own beauty. If we see everything in connection with the Lord, then our vision will remain on the transcendental platform. If a person, actually in this Padayatra, the first night, there was some discussion about the bedding facility. Some people, they took rest on the stage, on the rug. Some people took rest on the inside the different vans, and some people, they wanted to go back to the guest house where we had stayed the night before to take rest on the beds with the pillows. So there was a difference of opinion. So actually, that way, some austerity to become detached is also good. But that we don't ask for that austerity. But if it comes of its own accord, then in devotional service we learn to see that sometimes Jai Nitai Gaur Jagannath Balaram Ki. We learn to see the different facilities with an equilibrium. Just like sometimes someone may be praised, sometimes someone may be insulted. Normally in material life, if someone gets praised, they feel very big. If they get insulted, they feel very angry. But a devotee maintains the equilibrium. If he's praised, he takes it as the mercy of Guru and Krishna, that someone is able to appreciate, or that maybe he's been able to do something nicely. And if someone is insulting, you see, they tolerate that. In either case, they remain in an equilibrium state. Also, there's always the danger of mistaking what is the actual situation. Someone may see something and think that it's one thing where actually it's something else. For instance, even it's said that we shouldn't be very absorbed in the external symptoms of ecstasy in devotional service. Sometimes the preacher may see someone is crying or someone is showing some emotion. It's very hard to ascertain whether that is a sincere emotion or whether it's something else. Rather, one should judge one's own devotional service and the devotional service of others according to the anubhavas. Anubhavas are the other subsidiary symptoms, like always remaining engaged in devotional service, being equal to fame and infamy, not being put into material lamentation when one loses something material, not becoming elated when one gains something material. Different symptoms are there which show that one is fixed in Krishna consciousness. There's an example one time how one preacher was bewildered. He was giving a lecture, and this preacher apparently was he was from the older school. He was having a little beard. He was having a beard, maybe it was chaturmas or something, he didn't shave. But he had some beard and his hair was slightly grown out. He was giving a lecture on Krishna's pastimes. In the front row there was a lady, and every time he would say something, she'd just look at him and start crying. The tears are pouring down. By the end of the class, he thought that this lady is greatly devoted to Krishna. Every time I say something, she's looking, and then she's looking intensely, and then she's crying. I never found such an audience so intensely absorbed in what I was saying and so deeply moved. So afterwards, he called her to find out that what was her realization, how she was so deeply moved while he was giving his lecture. So he called her and asked that, why is it that you're feeling so emotional as I'm giving this lecture? And she says that every time I see you, I'm just overwhelmed. He said that my little pet goat who just died last week had the same beard that you do, and every time I see you, it just... It was something altogether different. Similarly, there's an explanation in the Shastra that from a distance you may see that there's a boy running and there's a woman and they're hugging in the street. How terrible! Oh my God! Right in the street. Whereas in India it would be terrible. And then you go walk over and then you see that it was a son who'd been gone for a long time, and that was the mother, and then they met for the first time after years and years, and so the mother just embraced her son, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with it, but from a distance you looked on, you got a different impression. So in this way you may see something and then it may appear in one way, but it may be something else. This way we can be illusioned by our senses, or we can mistake real spiritual experience or even some material thing for something else. So rather one has to train the consciousness to be fixed in the transcendental platform of equilibrium, not jumping to any conclusion and not becoming affected by something unless one has fully understood both the superficial, what is going on, and what is the actual cause. One should be fixed. So we see that this saintly person, he's very detached. He's not hankering for the first-class room, nor is he against it, neither he's lamenting for one or the other. He's very detached. Rather, he's already come to the platform that people should actually desire to serve Krishna. That desiring different material situation is useless. By Krishna's own arrangement, we may get so many different situations. I'm sure that everyone, when they go out and do traveling, sankirtan, they find some people are very favorable, and they'll find some people who are very demonic. So in this world, that nature is there, that some people are very inimical to Krishna by their nature. They've been brought up in that way. And some people, they're very favorable, they're very open. But this is normally due to their material vision. Actually, if they come to the real understanding, because most people, when they worship God, they're thinking, I want to get us a better facility to live in. And those people who feel that they can achieve that without worshipping God, then they want to achieve it in their own way. But the real goal is not to have a nice material facility, nor to simply avoid the goal is not to have simply a nice material facility, but to get out of this dunking stool, where one is sometimes put into hellish conditions, sometimes elevated to the Svargaloka. Actually, in this planet, it's very easy to see that there's no pure happiness. Nobody is completely satisfied with material things. But when one leaves this body and as one is progressing back to the spiritual world, then one goes by all the different planetary systems sometimes. You see, someone may be able to see, just like Guru Maharaja, if he was going, the different planetary demigods would watch him come, and they'd watch him go. So, Sanatana Goswami explained the progress of the soul, that sometimes they'll go through the different planetary systems. You see, that the planets are divided according to their different mentalities and desires into 14 categories of consciousness. That the categories of the 14 planetary systems are according to the degree of bhakti as mixed with karma or jnana or both, or as gradually becoming pure. The more that it's pure karma or pure jnana, it's one level. The more that it's towards bhakti, it's another level. So some of the planets where people have devotion, but they also have very strong material desires. So there it appears that the people are very happy. You see, but they're not having a pure devotion for Krishna. They're deriving their happiness from sense gratification. But there's very nice facility. Just like Nala Kuvera and Manigliva, by worshipping Lord Shiva, they had got to, and they were the sons of Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods. By worshipping Lord Shiva, they had achieved such a opulent position. So just in the Mandukini Ganga, by the side of Kailash, they were enjoying sport with naked heavenly girls, society girls, or daughters of the demigods. But they became intoxicated, and then when Narada Muni came, they were not able to act properly. They weren't able to understand. They were so drunk or intoxicated, which is the nature of sense gratification. One wants to take shelter of intoxication, illicit sex. Of course, the demigods, they won't think of meat eating or, I don't know, gambling they might do or not. But they won't eat meat. That's for the Rakshasas. But illicit sex and intoxication, of course, they'll have slightly different types of intoxication. But the effect is the same. One loses one's awareness and ability to function on the normal plane. So these two great demigods, they fell down from the heavenly planets, and they had to take birth as Arjuna trees in Vrindavan. Of course, because of the great mercy of a pure devotee, they ultimately got delivered by Krishna. But just like that, as one's going up to the spiritual world, you may say, oh, this is very nice here. Look at these people all enjoying it, very clean, very... And if one gets attracted, you get stuck up. Right? You're satisfied at that level, you remain there. Just like people in modern society, they work up to a certain level. When they get to be, they think, all right, let me become a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman. They reach some profession, they think, all right, this is enough. This is success. This is satisfaction. I shouldn't look further. In fact, if somebody tries to say that there's more to life, they become afraid. One of the biggest fears of the Krishna conscious movement is that people, they don't like to hear that there's more to life than what they know, because that would change their whole value system. Put them into some kind of crises of values of what they should be doing. So, similarly in our quest, the goal is to reach Krishna. This ultimate goal. But along the way, if we think that some other partial aspect of Krishna's manifestation is enough, we get satisfied. So even the yogis, of course, they're not very enamored by the life standard on this material world, but sometimes they get distracted when they go up to the heavenly planet. Srila Prabhupada said that many of his followers would go to the heavenly planet. Sometimes devotees think that for doing their devotional service they should be getting some good material facility in return. And if that is their desire, they may get that. They may get a residence in heavenly planets where it's the best facility of material life. But if once Srila Prabhupada, he warned the devotees who are building the Srimad Mayapur project. He said that here we're building big palaces. You see, you can live like princes in the palaces. You can stay here and you can have all nice facility of living in these nice buildings. You see, but the actual purpose of building them is for preaching. If you use them for preaching, if you use them for Krishna consciousness, then you'll get your love for Godhead and go back to Godhead. But if instead you want to use these buildings for your own comfortable living, if that is your purpose, then that's what you'll get. That'll be your repayment. You have a comfortable life. Finished. So in our devotional service, if we think that we want from Krishna some nice comfortable situation, then that will be the type of reward that Maya will try to offer us. Just like Kolavecha Sridhar, the banana salesman, when he was offered that you take a kingdom, he said, no, I don't want a kingdom. Lord Chaitanya offered him. He was a simple devotee. He was selling bananas, but he was always devoted to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Lord Chaitanya was in his Mahaprakash, where he was being worshipped by Shiva and Brahma and the Ganges and all the demigods, and where he was just so effulgent you couldn't see the entire world. All you could see was Lord Chaitanya and his associates. At that time, for 21 hours, Advaita was offering arti to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya was calling the different devotees and then offering them benediction. So he offered he called Kolavecha Sridhar, the banana salesman Sridhar, and he offered that you take a kingdom. You've been struggling, selling bananas, here I'll make you a king. You can have so many servants, queens, kingdom, everything. Kolavecha said, I don't want a kingdom. It's not what I wish. What do you want? You take something from me. You take all the mystic powers. He said, no, but I'm not desiring mystic power. No, you can have animal, ahima, prapti, siddhi, all the siddhis. You can just travel anywhere, create anywhere. You can have all of the mystic powers. No, but I'm not desiring, my Lord. I don't want the mystic powers. So what do you want? You tell me you can have it. You said, let me give you something here. You take moksha. You can have liberation from birth, death, old age and disease, merging into the Brahmajyoti, telling you that with the great yogis, even the demigods, they're always anxious to get liberation. You can have liberation. But my Lord, I'm not desiring liberation. You're not desiring liberation. What do you want? What I want is that if it is your desire or your mercy upon me. Everyone was silent and they were just, the kirtan was going on, but the devotees were all listening. What is it that Kolavecha, the banana salesman Sridhar, was wanting from Lord Chaitanya? He said that if I could have, you see, that young Brahmin boy who used to come to me, Nimai Pandit, and he was always argumentative and he was taking bananas and vegetables, that if it's your desire that wherever you appear, wherever you are, that if I could supply all your banana, vegetable needs, and if I could see the smiling face of that young Brahmin boy, Nimai, then that is all that I want. But if I am not qualified to get that benediction, then at least if I could take birth somewhere where there are your devotees who are always chanting your holy names, that's all that I want. And Lord Chaitanya said, so I am going to give you the benediction which even Brahma and Lord Shiva are always anxious for. I am going to give you the benediction of pure Krishna prema. And all the devotees, when they heard that the banana peddler, street hawker, peddler, Kolavecha Sridhar, he was being given what is greater than liberation, greater than mystic power, greater than residence in the heavenly planets. He was being given pure love for Krishna. They exploded. Haribo, Haribo, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Haribo. They just started to jump in ecstasy that how Lord Chaitanya, He gave the highest benediction to this very simple devotee. So in our journey back to Godhead, Maya may offer us different facilities. And if we think that, oh, this is very nice, we'll get stuck up. Then Maya has tricked us. But if we take good and bad in equal stride, that this is whatever is coming, it's only to be used for the service of Krishna. If we dovetail, if we get something good, not that we have to reject it. If someone is willing to build a palace, alright, we will make a temple out of it. Just like Vipra Sudama was offered by Krishna a palace. He didn't want it, but he gave it anyway, without Vipra Sudama wanting it. Krishna gave anyway. So then he used it for preaching Krishna consciousness. That way, sometimes the bogus yogis, they refuse to touch money. And then you find that they become like, no, I will not touch money. Of course, their secretaries pick it up. But they say, no, I will not touch anything material. I won't touch the money. And that way, Prabhupada said, no, if you want to give money, I'll take it with two hands. You see, and give it to Krishna. He often said, Brahmana means that you're a millionaire today, next day you're a beggar. And whatever we get, we immediately want to use that in Krishna's service. So we're not bashful or ashamed to ask people that they should engage in some service to Krishna. Knowingly or unknowingly, if they give, they get sukriti. Knowingly it's agata sukriti, and unknowingly it's agata sukriti. You see? Because their donation is being used for the service of Krishna. So they get some benefit. If someone knowingly gives, they get more benefit. But even if someone is not so qualified to understand, but they give for some other idea, but it's used in Krishna's service, they get the benefit. And this way, gradually they're brought to Krishna consciousness. I met someone who he had seen the devotees years before. He had given some contribution in, I think it was Switzerland or Germany. And after some years, there were some changes in life and different things happened. Somehow, he took a book off his shelf, which was there for years. He had never read it. It was one of Prabhupada's books. And then he read the book and found that all the questions that that person was looking for, it was there inside the book. And now that person has become devotee. And there are many stories like that where someone he gives I met people, I didn't understand what you people were about. I gave some donation, but I thought these people are very strange, but there's some nice, nothing for me. They don't realize by giving a little bit of service to Krishna, how they are linked up with Krishna. In the future, it's like being put into the orbit. Right? Once the satellite is put in orbit, then it just continues going around until it finally comes back down to the earth. So once you're put in Krishna's orbit, then opportunities come again and again by Krishna's mercy to come closer to Krishna. Until finally we become again under the complete shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. So whatever happens, good or bad, we should take it as Krishna's mercy and keep our objective to reach Krishna's lotus feet completely fixed. Akaha Kuru Nandana. We should be single pointed in that. Then even if Maya offers, here's the heavenly planet, we think that Where is Krishna? It's very nice, but where is Krishna here? These are nice gardens and trees and smiling, but where is Krishna? Are these people happy due to Krishna consciousness? Or is their happiness due to the flickering arrangement of this material world? I want to find the devotees of Krishna. If Krishna is not there, if the happiness is due to some other interaction of Maya, it means that it's very short-lived. Down again to this Martyaloka, repeated birth and death world. You see? Unless you surrender to Krishna, Mamupeti Kunteya Purnar Janmana Vidyate, then if your attraction is where is Krishna, well, when you finally reach the shelter of Krishna, then you do not forget. You don't need to take again this material birth and death. So, obviously this sage is very experienced. Now his fascination, it's like a fascination over the material energy has obviously been depleted. And now he's fixing his consciousness on going back to Krishna. That way, when the first time I went to Paris, because Paris is a very old city, I got some realizations. As a first-time visitor, even as a devotee there, I'd like to show you a few of the historical things. So they showed me the Louvre and the St. Paul's Cathedral. This is St. Paul, Notre Dame Cathedral, and a big Egyptian tower that's up there. There's some Egyptian monument, something. And then the Eiffel Tower and a few things. So when I saw this monument from Egypt, then I saw they had the old temple was a very old urban city house. And they said that only a bathroom was available and once on every 3-4 floors. And they're very old. And you could see that this was probably one of the best houses of Paris in the old few hundred, maybe 100, it was over 100 years. But the sanitation of it and the bathroom, everything, that was very by our Sattvic standards, it was very substandard. And how obviously even the poor people, they must have lived in much more disgusting situations. But how the different kings, that by just showing, alright, we have a big tower, we have this, we have that, the people, they identified that we're the greatest, we're the top, we have the culture, we have, and then due to some mental distraction, they feel satisfied. They don't realize that in spite of all the glitter and glare of the material arrangement, that they have to suffer the same birth, death, old age, disease, the same, situation is there. So like Maya is very good at putting on the makeup in the material world. So we think that the material world is something very enamoring, very beautiful. And in this way we waste the valuable time that we are given, that we could use for getting out of the material entanglement, for getting to reaching back to Lord Krishna. Instead we think that, this material arrangement is very nice. I can become happy here in this material world. And that is the foolishness. Now if we have, just like as we travel, you see that in one country they have good roads and new cars. In other countries they have older roads and older cars. And little bit differences there. So materially it's easier or harder to do things in certain ways. But basically, apart from the slight difference in the coverings, the same material sufferings and enjoyments are going on. Prabhupada used to chastise devotees who wanted to simply travel. He said everywhere they're doing the same thing, eating mating, sleeping, and defending. Simply the styles are slightly different. Someone is eating with chopstick, or someone is eating with fingers, or someone is eating with fork, or someone is eating this type of food or that type, or someone's eating in restaurant, or someone's eating in drive-in restaurant, or someone's eating in their house or on the street, or whatever. But basic program is the same. Simply slightly different styles. In this way, the actual essence of the entire world, the real purpose for life, people miss. They become enamored by the facade, by the few symbols that they think that, alright, this is the symbol that we're going to enjoy in this world. And thus they actually suffer. So when Prahlad Maharaj was offered liberation by Nrsimhadev, then he said that I don't want liberation for myself, but I'm worried about. One, he said he couldn't forget his guru, his spiritual master, because it was by the mercy of Narada Muni that Prahlad was able to see Nrsimhadev. This is a very good thing to note. Sometimes the devotee, if they achieve some success in realizing Krishna even, or even in some minor being able to perform some service successfully, they may think that somehow it's there to their credit. Of course, they get the credit. But they shouldn't think that it's to their credit. They should think, as Prahlad Maharaj did, that if without the mercy of my guru, of my spiritual master, I could never have been here today seeing Nrsimhadev face to face. So I don't owe anything to myself. I owe it to my spiritual master. That was his first response. And the second response was he was worried, what about all the other fallen souls who are suffering in this material world? That this is the devotee, he can realize, even the person is sleeping in a nice bed and pillow, or whether he's sleeping as an animal in the ground, that everyone is, their situations are very short. From the pillow you can easily go down. It's not very difficult. In fact, Prabhupada once said that there was some astrologer who had said that the Prime Minister of India was desiring a very comfortable life. So in his next birth, he took birth in Sweden. Then in Sweden there was a millionaire who had 2 pet dogs. One was white and one was black. And every day the dog was fed half kilo of meat and bathed and brushed and given nice living facility. So the Prime Minister took birth as the white dog. So he could get plenty of comfortable life, no responsibility, plenty of servants. So we can say, even if a person, if that is the desire, they want no spiritual life, they simply want comfort, they could take birth as a nice pet dog. Here, Fido, come. Master, millionaire petting, 2-3 servants. When we took over the palace in Detroit, that Fisher Mansion, I was told that there was a tomb yard to the 2 dogs that were the pet dogs to the Fisher. He had built one tomb for his pet dogs. That was his love in life. He had 2 pet dogs. So, like that, if someone wants something material, there's no security. What will be their situation? So the devotee is not very fascinated. If someone, alright, you have good fortune, you have good looks, or you have wealth, or you have education, or a good birth, this do good to your good activities, but it's not secure. Again, you may be thrown down. So while you're in this type of advantageous material position, take advantage and become Krishna conscious. And even if someone is in a disadvantageous position, materially speaking, but if they surrender to Krishna, their life will also be successful. You see, their life will actually be successful. So the real deliverance is when a person becomes Krishna conscious. So here, of course, in Sweden, in Switzerland, people have, materially speaking, certain amount of modern comfort. Modern comfort, of course, is relative in its comfort, but modern comfort is also filled with anxiety. But anyway, there's some facility here. The people, they may become very conceited that their position is very permanent. Because they may not realize that this life is very short, and again in the next life they may go anywhere. And even in this life there's always the fear of, in the modern world, nuclear holocaust, wars and so on. If they could come to the platform of spiritual understanding, that this lifetime is just a small flash, a small drop in the bucket, in the sequence of many lives, then they could actually take advantage of their situation and utilize their lack of material obligation or material suffering to fix their mind on God consciousness, either by fully dedicating themselves to preaching Krishna consciousness or even by practicing in their home, and thus achieving perfection by supporting the devotees and donating their energy or their Lakshmi. So, of course, we're working against the heavy material conditioning, but the devotee is also not attached. He's trying to simply give these people Krishna consciousness. That way, Prabhupada said that some people are hard to come, but the harder people are to come to Krishna consciousness, normally the more fixed they are once they become devotees. So that's like a consolation prize. That even if someone is difficult to make a devotee, normally once they do become devotees, they are more steady. Sometimes devotees are easy come, easy go. So they don't take things very seriously if they haven't suffered or sacrificed something. They haven't changed their consciousness. Our ultimate objective, we have to change our consciousness. So it's important for us to, in conclusion, let me say, to study the mentality of these different great devotees, how their consciousness is situated, how they're actually detached. And accordingly, we should also be attached to Krishna. If we are attached to Krishna, this will automatically put us in the proper state of detachment from others. Our process is one of attachment. We become attached to Krishna. And the detachment is more or less automatic. Of course, we become detached from the grossest Maya, but our process is a positive process of becoming positively attached to Lord Chaitanya, to Jagannath, to Krishna, to the spiritual master, the pure devotee, to the previous spiritual masters, to the Vaishnavas. And by being attached to the spiritual energy, as we're going back to the spiritual world, when we see these different levels in the heavenly planets or even the Brahma Jyoti, our attachment to Krishna is like a magnet, draws us back to the spiritual world, and we go directly to Krishna. Parang Padam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.